Hey everybody, welcome to Module 3. So our work for this week is pretty straightforward, but I'm going to touch on a few things to hopefully help you along with it. The first assignment that you have to do is participate in a new discussion, and your central post in that will be about your writing project. And as you know, what we're doing is largely focusing on audience. So your assignment is to describe the two audiences that you might write your paper about. All right. So remember, we're still focusing on the subject of your chosen article. You're writing about that article. It's going to be your major source for your own writing, but you're now turning things to your own audiences. These may or may not resemble the audiences that you identified for the author of the article, but any way you look at it, you're going to talk about your audiences, the ones you are going to write to. All right. So the thing that you should know is that you're not just saying you're not just naming the audiences. You really have to get into describing those audiences, explaining who they are and what their motivations are, because that's the whole purpose of really talking about audience in the first place, is to really uh, dig into how knowing the audience can help you. So that's what you're really doing. So if you look at the instructions for this, you'll see that they list out a bunch of questions that you can ask about the audience to help fill out the picture of who they are. And really, what I'm saying is don't just name the audiences, actually put some effort into it and try to build a picture of this audience for other people to see. All right. And then you'll respond to other people's by saying how well they did that and offering some pointers on where they could go with it. All right. So that's pretty straightforward, as I say. The second assignment that you're doing is a written response. And again, it deals with your selected article and it deals with, excuse me. It deals with your first level of interpretation of it. What you're being asked to do is to write a summary of it and then to do some brief exercises with excising more details like you did last module. Basically, it's about taking those details out and then figuring out how to incorporate them into your own writing, all right, you know, in a way that is fairly seamless, in a way where it flows from your writing to their writing and back to your writing so that the reader gets a really clear picture of who's saying what. All right. It's just, it's a technique that has to be incorporated into any writing that uses sources. About the summary, let me just mention that this is problematic. All right. When we say summary, what we usually keep talking about is that a summary should be short. All right. And what I want you to know is that writing anything brief is difficult. Or should I say, writing anything brief and doing it well is difficult. It is a real skill in and of itself. There are a lot of things in academia where you're asked to write things in a very short way, to really boil things down. Um, and it's hard to do that when you're dealing with big subjects with lots of contexts. So, what I'm saying is, aim to be brief, but understand that in being brief, you still need to include as much of a picture as you can of what your article is, what it does, and how it does it. So um, err on the side of filling in information rather than on the brevity. All right. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna grade anybody for writing a or grade anybody poorly for writing a long summary. But if the summary seems like it kind of cuts corners and doesn't really give me a great picture of what's going on, um, that might not fill the bill. All right. So remember, you're always walking a line when you're working against the limitations of space. And I'm just saying in publishing, you're always working against the limitations of space because people are going to say, I only want it this long. So fill that space. Don't go any further. All right. Now, one quick word about how all this fits together. This is, you might think this is, think of this as something like the philosophy of what we're doing. And I just wanted to touch on it really quickly. This class is not an academic writing class, but what we're doing is setting you up to function within academic writing. And what we do in academic writing is we work with sources. The word that you should focus on is conversation. All right. So sources are out there on any given subject, and they are saying stuff about it. They are, shall we say, conversing to you when you go to research. Um, and those sources take advantage of other sources. So they're in conversation with other people, and then you come along and you read them in conversation with those other people. And then you go to write something and you put your thoughts in conversation with those people that are in conversation with other people. And then ideally, what you do is you write to be a source for other people so that you're just one in a chain. All right. That's what all of this is about. So what we're doing in this class is basically setting you up to do something like that, but in a very small, controlled way. All right, you're working with a source and you're trying to add something to it. And as you see, a lot of those sources have other people that they're referencing, that they're drawing on. So that's really all we're doing. All right, is we're playing at being academic writers right now, so that later you can be academic writers in other classes and maybe professionally down the way. All right. So, in keeping with that, one of the things that we do in academic writing is that we will basically trailblaze as we go along working with those sources. We always mark where we get those sources from so that other people can follow our trail of sources that we have. And that is done through citation. So this is our first week where you're asked to do some stuff with citation, and it will continue throughout the term from here on out. So basically, I have some announcements on citations. I have some links that are provided there. What I'll say to you is this: try your best. All right. I don't expect that any of you is coming into this class as an expert in either MLA or APA. And those are the styles that we're working with in this course. Um, you're to choose one of them. So basically, again, what I'll say is don't expect to be an expert by the time you end the class either. I don't expect it. Try your best. I'll give you feedback on it, and I will be, as generous as I can with it. The expectation is that, you'll do better as we go along. And, I can't ask for a lot more than that right now. All right. If you have questions, as always, you know how to get in touch with me. Till next week, adios.